Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to my ongoing reviews of 1970s dystopian science fiction movies. We come to an unusual entry in that it's a quote-unquote quiet dystopia, and that's 1972's Silent Running, which stars Bruce Dern and Cliff Potts, Ron Rivkin, and Jesse Vint, and also three amputees playing three quote-unquote drones, or little robots. They made them move by actually walking on their hands, which comes off as very realistic looking. Um, and those are played by Mark Persons and Larry Weissenhut, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the third person, but they were very good in their performance. And interestingly enough, in some ways, the drones, which are just little robots, are more interesting than the human characters portrayed in the movie, who are rather two-dimensional. Anyway, Silent Running was directed by Douglas Trumbull, who is the special effects wizard behind all the great special effects in 2001: A Space Odyssey, including the quote-unquote light trip, for which he invented a unique device called a slit scan camera, and that produced the quote-unquote psychedelic-looking special effects. And it was written by Derek Washburn and Michael Cimino and Steve Bochco. And if you don't know those names, think Hill Street Blues, because those three wrote Hill Street Blues and many other shows as well. The script is somewhat flawed, but it's interesting. A non-specific environmental disaster has struck the Earth and forced people to remove all of the Earth's forests onto a fleet of 8 gigantic space freighters known as the American Airlines cargo fleet. And they're sent out to the orbit of Saturn for, again, reasons we don't really know why they're sent that far out. But orders come in that they're not going to be able to repopulate the Earth with these plants and animals, and that they're to nuclear destruct all these domes. They have small nuclear devices with them to do this, and they're to return to be used as cargo ships. The main character, played by Bruce Dern, is named Freeman Lowell, and he's a biologist, and he lives on the USS Valley Forge, which is one of these ships. And when he hears the order, he's basically horrified. He doesn't want to do it. He can't fathom the destruction of the Earth's last forests. He kills one of his crew members and is injured when he hits him in the leg with a shovel. And he sends the last 2 of his crew members are trapped inside one of the domes that sent off and explodes with a little nuclear explosion. He reports to his command that he's had a premature explosion on board and he can't control the ship. He's going out of control. He's actually piloting the ship out towards Saturn so that he'll be out of communications range. They can't find out what he did, and so he can save the last forest. He reprograms the drones, which are just maintenance robots basically, to perform surgery on his leg, which they do successfully. And now he has a limp, but he can still walk. And he has to figure out basically how to care for this last forest. And he's going about that he's obviously starting to go a bit mad now that he's alone. And he's racing around in this little sort of a buggy that he uses to get from place to place. It's a very large ship. It was actually filmed inside an aircraft carrier with the USS Valley Forge, so that name is appropriate. But he's racing around in this buggy, and he runs into one of the drones and damages it badly. And he and the other 2 drones manage to repair it. He names the drones rather sentimentally Huey, Dewey, and Louie after Donald Duck's mischievous nephews. Huey, I think, is destroyed when it's out on the surface of the Valley Forge during they're quote-unquote shooting Saturn's rings. And this is something that they got wrong scientifically. But again, I think they didn't know as much about Saturn. This is before the Cassini missions. And I think it was assumed that Saturn's rings were made out of gas. Well, we know they're not. They're made out of ice and rocks. But they didn't know that at the time. So they're shooting the rings, and they're trying to get through them. And it's a very rough passage. The ship is almost destroyed. Huey is or Dewey, I think, Louis. It's Louis who's on the outside of the ship and is torn off by an enormous wind and destroyed. So now, Lowell and the two remaining drones are, trying to save the forests, and he teaches them to play poker, and he accuses them of cheating because they're sort of talking between each other. They don't speak, but they make like little hissing noises. And he says, "You two are ganging up on me," and and they're playing this game of poker, and it turns out that Louis has a straight flush. He knew that he had, or he had a full house actually. Lowell had a straight flush, and Louis beats him because he had a full house. And he said, "You knew it. You knew he had a full house the whole time." And he's laughing. Then suddenly the forest begins to die, and Lowell can't figure out what's going on. He's feeding it nutrients and watering it, and he doesn't. This is a little bit of a technical glitch too, some bad writing here. He doesn't realize that the plants aren't getting enough sun for photosynthesis, so he sets up a series of ultraviolet bulbs all around the forest and turns them on, and now the plants start to grow again. Well, he's a botanist. He doesn't know that plants need light to live. I find that a little stretching the imagination, suspending your disbelief a little too far. But again, it was fairly well done. Dern gives a terrific performance as Freeman Lowell. He's sort of a cross between a psychotic and just a very lonely person who's really trying to do the right thing. He wants to save the last forest. Suddenly, he receives a communication from another one of the space fleet, the Berkshire, and they ask him what happened. He tells the same story about the accident, and realizes that if they catch up to him, they're going to find out the truth, that he murdered his 3 crewmates, and he can't, and they're going to destroy the forest, which he can't allow to happen. So he programs Dewey to take care of the forest, and that's his only job now, and puts him into the dome and launches the dome off into space. And he pilots the Valley Forge into Saturn and explodes it with the last remaining nuclear bombs, destroying himself and Huey, who was damaged. And so that's the end of the movie. There are 2 very good songs by Joan Baez. I think one's called "Raise Your Children in the Sun," or "Ode to the Sun," I think that's what it's called, and the title track "Silent Running." It's a very good, very understated movie. As I said, it's a quiet dystopia. There's no real, other than the murders, there's no real, horrific violence. It doesn't take place in, a dystopian Earth. It takes place entirely in outer space, which is kind of interesting. That it doesn't talk about Earth's problems or the Earth, going to pot. It's about a disaster that happened and its consequences, and we don't really know what caused the disaster. And that, again, is a little bit of weak writing, but it doesn't terribly affect the plot. And I do recommend watching it. I haven't been able to find it streaming, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere.